I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, November the 2nd, brought to you in part by Vitalix. High feed costs got you down? Vitalix delivers the highest value tub for your feed dollar and has been their mission for over 30 years. The most concentrated feed at the lowest cost per head per day. Get the blue tub. Go to Vitalix.com. Wake up, board. We've got the cash cattle market thriving. Calves are getting higher every day. They have backed off a little bit in the northern plains, just the sheer numbers of them moving right now. But yearlings still selling really well, especially if you can find any grass yearlings. Fat cattle are going to be higher again this week. We haven't had any direct trade yet this week, but we've seen in our sale barn fat cattle auctions that the packers are really going after them. Posting high markets there that we haven't seen yet, so fat cattle are going to be higher this week. But the board not only lagging but going down this week. I realize that some of the things that are going on over in the Ukraine and different things are making your grains go up, but regardless of that, fat cattle don't have anything to do with grain. Fat cattle are done with grain and they're going down some. It seems like the fund managed money is the only ones that have any confidence in the board. I told you on our last visit that they went net long by a long ways early last week, and so they're on the long side, guys. But they're calling this down market early this week on your futures a correction. But 2 days is enough of it. We've got strong fundamentals. A lot of your people in Chicago don't really understand the cattle market because your domestic cattle are not exactly like a global type commodity like your grains and things like that they trade in all the time. They don't really understand the cyclical transition of it. That it's hard for them to get a good handle on the tight supplies that we have right now and all the culling that we had to do and the sell-offs because of the fierce droughts that we had in our major production areas and have had for the last several years. But the rest of the industry that trades in the futures market, cattle futures, and there hasn't been a lot of trade. Volume has been very light, but everybody else has got feed cost scares. They're worried about this diesel shortage. If you guys aren't paying attention to this diesel shortage, it is getting plumb scary. They're talking about getting seriously short, especially after Thanksgiving. How does that happen? Diesel is so much easier to make than gas. Diesel is really a trash fuel. And they're charging $2 more for it than they are gas in a lot of places. It's absolutely ridiculous. But this administration, the Magoo administration, has depleted our stockpiles of fuel, including diesel, and it's getting scary out there. Everything we buy depends on diesel because some truck had to get it there somehow. Everything we buy, and I don't care if you ordered it online, it's still got to get there, and it's still going to have something to do with diesel fuel because it had to get to the warehouse, and that's the way we transport things here in this country, and we are going to do that for a long, long time. This electric deal hasn't caught on yet. We don't have the technology for it yet, so we are going to continue to be a slave to fossil fuels for a long, long time. When we get the technology there, fantastic. Let's do it then. Let's make all these changes then. But this diesel fuel shortage that we're staring right in the face here, it is getting really, really scary. But regardless of all those fears, people still got to eat. And people that can't afford prime rib or ribeyes, they're still going to eat hamburger. And the people that are well enough off to afford the higher priced cuts, they're still going to eat those. They're going to eat them at home and they're going to eat them in restaurants. So, why is this board lagging behind? I guess we're just going to have to continue to show it how strong this cattle market is and the fundamentals, and we are going to do that later this week, especially as we start our direct fed cattle trade in the country. But I'm going to give you some auction quotes here that are very impressive here in just a second. Look at your board. December live cattle futures were down 52 cents at 151.95. February down 57 at 155 and a quarter. Back months were kind of mixed, from down 20 to up 5 cents, except for April. That's the last one hanging on the end there of your traded months, and April of 2024, sounds like a long time away, was up $2.37, of course, with hardly any volume at all, but sitting at 168. November feeder cattle were down 70 cents at 176.92. January down $1.25 at 178.20. Your back months on feeder cattle down 75 to down 132. Yes, corn was higher. It was up 6 1/4 cents a bushel at 6.97 3/4. And if it goes over $7 a bushel, like it's very likely to later this week, that's going to put more fear. That's kind of a threshold that it crosses there when and if it does at $7. Beans up 28 3/4 cents at 14.35 3/4. Fat cattle trade on a direct basis has yet to develop. We haven't had any trade really to speak of this week. Did have 250 head trade in Iowa on Tuesday at 152, basically steady, but really means nothing. We haven't seen anything established, nothing traded in any other major regions. But Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Yankton, South Dakota, 3,600 head fat cattle. Yes, that's your biggest fat cattle auction in the nation, your most active, and they've got good cattle in there, and they sold really well. Packers didn't even try to keep their hand up to their vest. They showed that they wanted cattle. Conventional cattle, just regular cattle, fat cattle, 150 to 157.50, and drug-free and non-implanted program type cattle up to 158 1/4. And you think, my gosh, you know, those top prices must have been on 1 or 2 head. No. On the conventional, the top of 157.50, part of that was on 150 head of black and black baldy steers that weighed 1506, went to a major. The tops on your program cattle, 158 1/4, included 221 head of fat heifers, a high percentage of them be prime, weighing 1403. Your major packers were aggressive in a brick and mortar fat cattle auction. They are going to be aggressive in the country. You guys got to do the same things that they do in the auctions. You have to negotiate. You have to ask more for the cattle and take bids on them until you want to sell them, and keep raising that price until they won't give it anymore. I got to thank Gary Marks, my friend there, local, experienced and knowledge in the business, that shares that information with us, and glad to have him. Box beef cutout values were lower. Choice cuts 260, 263 down $1.02 on Tuesday. Select 230, 273 down $1.73. Your slaughter running at another good clip this week. Probably not going to have much Saturday kill, but they're doing enough during the 5-day business week. It's plenty good. But 256,000 through the first 2 days of this week is 1,000 more than last week, 12,000 more than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. I have to fill you guys in on a premier type special sale that's going to be on DV Auction this Friday. It's called Legends of the Fall. It's going to be held at Buffalo Run Casino in Miami, Oklahoma, but broadcast on dvauction.com. You can go on to dvauction.com, look up Legends of the Fall, and you can view the videos, look at the pedigrees, and see what all they have to offer there. But this is some kind of a sale, guys. You got to check it out. They've got bred heifers consigned from the King Ranch, Wagon Hammer Ranch, Hermes Livestock of Colorado has 2 loads, black and black baldy bred heifers, with a 30-day calving window. You guys ready to get back into business? I mean, we've just got all kinds of outstanding consignments. Wilson Creek of Colorado has a load of red Angus heifers. There's going to be 2 loads of 3-year-old pairs with red and black baldy calves at their side coming from the X-Bar Ranch in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. 3 loads of ultra black first calf heifer pairs with 44 farm sired calves at their side. It's just an outstanding offering here that you don't see anywhere else. There's 1,000 head of replacement heifers on there, 25 Angus bulls from Hartley Creek and Long Ranch. Then they've got a horse sale, ranch horse sale, be 15 true ranch yearlings from Adcock's Lazy 71 out of Lenapaw, Oklahoma. These are foundation horses. They've been producing for over 30 years. They've got 20 more weaning colts coming off of those. You've got to check out this sale. If nothing else, just watch it, but get registered in case you want to bid on something. If you don't want to do that, go to Buffalo Run Casino this Friday, November the 4th in Miami, Oklahoma. If you want more information, like I said, look it up on DV Auction or call Ron Cunningham. Talking about feeder cattle markets, your real-time index on DV Auction late in the day on Tuesday set at 175.29. That was up a dime. I was at Beaver County Stockyards, which I talk about all the time. They advertise with us, they broadcast with us, we get their information. But they had their Customer Appreciation Day on Tuesday in Beaver, Oklahoma. Jeff Slatton invited me to come up there. I had a good time. They had a nice offering, nearly 4,000 head, top quality cattle, continuing to sell yearling feeder cattle as high as you can sell them in the Southern Plains, guys. Like a Northern Plains type sale, selling these fancy calves out of that country at a very impressive quote there. I got to get up and sell for a little bit. Thank Lance Cochran for being generous with that. Got to see several of my cattle buying buddies there. Got to see Steve Hilker there, a good friend of mine. Visit with him for a while. Met some new friends there. Got acquainted with the Hendricks family from Shoto, Oklahoma. They've been bringing cattle from eastern Oklahoma all the way out to Beaver County Stockyards because they see the impressive price quotes that they get. And I actually got to sell their yearlings that they brought in, 60 head of 842-pound steers at $179.85, put together cattle in eastern Oklahoma, backgrounded on grass, and hauled to Beaver, Oklahoma to market. But I enjoyed my time there, and thank everybody at Beaver County Stockyards. Talk about your big sales on Tuesday. Other than Beaver, how about Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri? 2,700 head through the ring, another 540 some head in their in-house video they do with help from DV Auction. Calves were hot, $5 to $10 higher, spots $15 higher. It's all about this moisture that we've gotten in the last week or two in the wheat country, guys. Yearlings were not well tested. Talk about your Zoetis stick-out sale of the day. Philip the Giant, Philip Livestock Auction, 7,900 head in Philip, South Dakota. Look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Summary, and you see the best tested weights are calves. That's what's moving up there in the Northern Plains right now. How about 2,524 head of 5-weight steer calves in Philip, average 562, with a weighted average price of $215.13 on all them 5-weight steers that averaged on the high side. That was $4 higher than last week's good offering. Nearly 1,500 head of 6-weight steer calves in Philip, average 643, with a weighted average price of $202.36, which would be about steady with last week. Heifers, 807 head of 4-weight heifer calves in Philip, averaged 469 with a weighted average price of $199.02. That would be $4 higher. 1,274 head of 5-weight heifer calves, average 545 at $195.99. That'd be $1 higher than the good offering last week. Give you several individual quotes from all around the regions, guys. How about Denny Rezac Livestock Commission in St. Mary's, Kansas? They sell 128 steers, weighed 866 at 182.10. Really impressive market from way up north in the northern plains. Dickinson, North Dakota, the West Barn there, Stockman's Livestock Exchange, 63 head, 612 pound steers bring $213 a pound. Wow. How about my buddy Brad Hahn at Fredonia Livestock Auction, sells 58 steers, weigh 913 at 171.85. My friends the Ansteins in Kingsville, Missouri, at Kingsville Livestock Auction. They sell 82 steers, weighed 712 at 202.60, West Central Missouri. Very impressive. F&T Livestock Market, one of my favorite sale barns on the eastern side of Missouri. That F&T at one time stood for Farmers and Traders. That's one of the reasons I really like it. But 66 head of steers, weighed 792 at 188.50. But the most impressive quote that I saw on Tuesday, your Mackerson, no BS, top quote for the day, indeed come out of Philip the Giant, Philip Livestock Auction in Philip, South Dakota. 56 steers, weighed 880 at 191.50. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.